Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what we're going to do is take a look at watches that are themed around different cars or car models. This first one we're going to start with is this. It's called a Breitling for Bentley. This particular one is called the Premier B01 Chronograph 42 Bentley British Racing Green. I think this is a pretty new one that they recently came out with. And it's got a caliber Breitling 01 manufacturer, 4 hertz automatic, 42 millimeter stainless steel. Yeah, it's a pretty nice watch. And down below there's a Bentley Flying Spur. The colors aren't the same, but this is one of the, I believe it's 2021 Flying Spur, the model of a Bentley. I've got on my jacket with a B for Bentley on it. I've never owned a Bentley, but I did have a Rolls-Royce at one time, and my job was I was in a Rolls-Royce club, and they had a newsletter, and one of the things a lot of guys in the club would sell their Rolls, and they would have something about it. And my job was to check and make sure everything was copacetic. And so one of the things that I would do is that a lot of time someone would sell their Rolls and say it belonged to somebody famous, and I had to go find out who that person was, and also if they were a previous owner. A lot of these guys had cars, they had bought it, especially some of the older ones, and they were told it belonged to Carol Lombard or somebody like that, one of the old movie stars, or probably their more recent ones now. And so what I would then do, I would then call the guy that we had, some guy who had the records of all the owners of the Rolls Royces, and ask him, and he would check it up, and usually the answer was no. And so I'd call the guy back and I'd say, gee, I'm sorry, but whoever sold you the car probably thought it was, but it wasn't. He had to be very diplomatic with these guys selling their Rolls Royces. So I just told him, I said, you can run the ad, but you can't say it was somebody famous, because even though you were told it wasn't. Anyway, so that was my job. And this is how I ended up with my Bentley jacket. They gave me, they had jackets for Rolls Royces, and they had jackets for Bentleys. And the Rolls Royce one I had, the color was called cranberry. It's sort of looked like a faded red, sort of. Didn't want another one of those. I wanted a green one. They said, well, the only green ones we have are Bentley. So that's how I ended up with a Bentley jacket. Now, speaking of Rolls Royces, this is a H. Moser at Sea Endeavor Small Seconds Rolls Royce Enthusiast Club model. And what is in the dial or subdial for the small seconds is this little logo from the Rolls-Royce Enthusiast Club. Back some years ago, not too many years ago, they had a big meeting at the H. Moser Museum, and all these Rolls Royces of the local club showed up, and they had these watches, and so I wanted to get one because it was sort of fun to have my old Rolls. It was a silver Spur, but which is about a long wheelbase saloon. It was a half a block long. It was a fun car though, and so I thought, well, it'd be sort of cool to have these watches with it. And you can see from the grill on this 62 Silver Cloud the kind of big grill that they had on the logo too. And it was just, like I said, sort of a fun thing. Okay, so let's take a look at some more of these the cars that are related to watches. This one is Tag Heuer Mercedes SLR McLaren chronograph, and looking at it, it looks like a chronograph. I don't know what they do or how exactly the deals that they make are with the car company, but I know a lot of them do it. And this is the one that they have for the SLR Mercedes. Now they have another one called the Tag Heuer 36 caliber that apparently was also for the Mercedes SLR McLaren. So and you look at that, and right about between the 2 and the 10 o'clock, right down the center of the watch, you can see it says SLR, and that's so you know you're, if you have one, you know you're driving one. Now this one, this next car one is one I love, Morgan's. This is a car that I would love to go get, and I found one I liked, but it would cost me about a watch, and I'd rather have a watch, I think. But Morgan's, I love Morgan's. And Christopher Ward has a whole series. They're the official Morgan watchmaker. And the one there is called the Christopher Ward C1 Morgan Classic Chronometer. It's a caliber SH21, COSC, 5 days, manual wind. What a great watch. I'd love to have the watch. And there's a little Morgan Plus for it. Love to go tooling around on one of those. I found one nearby, and anyway, that's another one that's sort of cool. Now this next one is the Parmigiani Fluie Bugatti Aerolite, caliber PF 335, and this watch there's the Bugatti Type 57 Aerolite. That's from, I think, from the 1930s. Bugatti has these incredible car designs. I love them. This particular one, and the color of the watch and the color of the car are a special Bugatti color. And Parmigiani, for this series that they had to get their permission to use that color, and they do have that. This is another watch that I thought, boy, there's no chance I'm going to get that car, but the watch is would be fun to have. Moving right along, this next one is by Bremont. And Bremont is called the Jaguar Mark II White, and for the white dial on it. And it has a caliber BE50AE, which is basically an ETA 7750 base, 4 hertz automatic. What they did with it, and I've seen this on some other Bremont watches that I think is really cool. They fitted the rotor on the back with a mini steering wheel from a Jaguar Type E. The Jaguar Mark II down at the bottom, my friend, the guy I used to fly with, had one of those. Those are just more fun to play around with, and it's sort of cool having a watch with your car. You'd have to match the color a little better than that. Okay, Aston Martin. There are it seems that there's more than one watch company. In fact, there's probably several that have Aston Martin deals. One is this one at the top, Gerard Perregaux, the Tourbillon with 3 flying bridges, Aston Martin edition. I'm not sure what there's some kind of connection that they have with it, and it probably says Aston Martin somewhere on it. Another one that we had talked about before was Jaguar MVOX 2 DBS Aston Martin. Now, up in the top corner, there's a Rolex, a red Rolex, with a with a red Aston Martin book, and I'm not sure whether that was a model that Rolex came out for it or not. There are a lot of watch lovers, a lot of guys are also car lovers. Now, this newer one, I think this came out in 2017, and this is a Bvlgari Octo Retro Maserati, and they have 2 of them. One's called the Grand Sport and one's called the Grand Lusso. Now they're really identical watches, and to me they're both fascinating. They have a BVL 262 movement in them, and so you have the minute retrograde to the left, and then you have the hour jumping hours. And right below it, you have the Maserati logo, the Trident, and there, a Grand Sport and a Grand Lusso. From what I could find, and these watches are not easy to find because they were given to the owners. Somebody buys a Grand Sport and here you get a watch with it, which is, and if you buy a Grand Lusso, they give you a gold watch. So this was sort of God knows what the cars cost, but I think that this is my understanding. So you couldn't go down to the store and say, "Hey, I want to buy one of these." Anyway, so now you can get them on the pre-owned market. Now, this last one, is a very interesting connection with a watch company. Bovet has a watch they call their Amadeo. My wife has one. And what you can do with it, you can just sort of clip off the top, the bar lugs and the bow and crown at the top, they just sort of clip off. And the straps, you can put the straps aside and then sort of set them up as little desktop clock. And they somehow made a deal with Rolls-Royce, a Rolls-Royce boat tail. This thing's a boat tail. Rolls-Royce boat tail is $23 million. So you can say, whoa, not cheap. And then what you do with it, you just sort of tuck it into the dashboard. And then when you get where you're going, you just take it out and you put the band back on it and off you go. It's I don't know for sure if the part of the deal is that when you buy the car you get the watch. I wouldn't be surprised for $23 million. You probably get a lot of things. Anyway, now this is just touching on cars and watches. This whole idea was my brother's, is a car aficionado. He used to live in Carmel, where they have the Concours d'Elegance every year, and he used to go to that. It has all of these wonderful pictures of all these cars. And looking for these, I found a lot more. There's some by Ferrari and with just all kinds of different cars. They have these watches that were themed for them. So if you know some, let me know. Let me know what you think of this. And this is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.